Welcome to the Smarter Cloud Talk podcast. My name is Madison, and I'm the marketing executive for the Business Software Center, and we are a software as a service solution provider. Today, I wanted to celebrate women in tech and highlight women's experiences in the technology sector, and I'm happy to share our guest speaker, May Turnbull, from our partner company, EasySAM, which is an independent software asset management consultancy partner who provide analysis and advice around software purchased and deployed. May is a director at EasySAM with over 11 years experience and is here to share with us what it's like to be a woman in tech. May, we thank you so much for joining us today. And to get us started, I have a couple questions I wanted to ask you during this interview. And I just wanted to know, May, what does a typical workday look like for you at EasySAM? What do you do in your job role as a director?
Thanks, Madison. I'm really flattered to be here. So in my typical job role has changed quite a bit over the last little while. Sort of pre-COVID, it was split. I spent at least a week of my month traveling, whereas now, thanks to COVID, it's now sort of webinar. I'm sure everyone can sympathize. Obviously, a year ago, I was more involved in the delivery side of the business, and in January, I was very fortunate to be promoted to director level. So I certainly get my fingers in a lot more pies nowadays. So for example, things like the appraisals and the budgeting, and we're busy doing a CRM migration. So lots of very boring, busy things.
Yeah, I could imagine it's pretty hard being a director, though, trying to balance everything all the time. How do you balance, a large workload?
I think working from home really helps, and I have always worked from home with EasySAM. Some people have a different approach, so they try and cut 9 to 5 out and keep that strictly work. I find a different approach helps. So if I need to go to an appointment or do some shopping, I break up my day so that I'm not obviously sat at the desk for 9-10 hours a day straight. I wake up early, I do a bit of work, I come sit down in the evening and do a bit of work, and sort of have that kind of my day broken up a little bit.
Oh, yes. I think working from home was a total game changer for real. I feel like even with where I sit as the marketing exec, my workload has become more manageable for me because of working from home. Like you said, you can kind of take breaks as you need to and schedule as you need to, rather than going into the office and having those hard set appointment times. It's kind of nice working from home, and it's amazing that you were able to experience that even before COVID happened. But I definitely feel like ever since COVID, a lot of others are joining the game here with wanting to work from home more frequently. Is that something that EasySAM is just going to continue on with in the future? It's just working from home then?
Oh yeah, 100%. There've been a multitude of studies that say that people are proven to be more productive from home. Obviously, it does vary with personality types. I have colleagues that I speak to that go, I don't know if that would be 100% for me or your sort of lifestyle, but for me, I feel like outside of an office situation, I just get so much more done.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly it is. Maybe it's like the fluorescent lighting or all of the cubicles, but sometimes it can be hard to focus. I have another question for you. Have you always wanted to be in the tech field? How did you come to find your career with EasySAM, and why did you choose EasySAM?
So yeah, really interesting question. I initially didn't have any draw towards technology. I studied travel and tourism and spent many number of years as a sort of key accounts manager in the tourism sector. But when I moved over to the UK, I found that the industry was very different and very differently rewarded in terms of salaries. So I found an administrative position at a software company, and my interest sort of blossomed from there. I chose EasySAM, and obviously I didn't start straight away with EasySAM, but EasySAM came around at the perfect time for me because I was really looking to escape that large company mentality and have an option for growth outside of these large sort of male-dominated corporations.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of, I don't know if you manifested it, but it was definitely the right place at the right time for you, which is really good. And I feel like sometimes when it comes to these career changes, you kind of have to take a leap of faith as well, because you're just kind of going into a whole new field blind. So I have a question about that in regards to being a woman in tech and kind of getting your feet in the water with all of that. What is some advice that you would want to share with women entering into this field? Do you have any motivational or professional advice to give to anyone listening?
Yeah, so we all know that the technology industry is very male dominated, and this can be off-putting to women that are wanting to sort of enter into and excel in the field. I would just say you need to be brave, because statistically, women have a better chance of excelling and being promoted within companies because they're just really better at their verbal and written skills. So even if you feel like you perhaps are entering in on the back foot, just remember that alongside a male colleague, you have a better chance of excelling, of gaining that ground, taking things one day at a time.
So I would say, because you mentioned that it is a male-dominated field, that you believe that there's a lack of women in technology. Have you experienced that a lot with EasySAM or just partner companies in general?
Oh yes, 100%. I think there was a survey done beginning half of last year that said that there's only 17% of the IT industry is female in positions, and I obviously find this on a day-to-day basis. Where I do encounter females, they're often drawn more to sort of procurement or administration roles, as opposed to sort of like CIOs and CFOs and the likes. And I think there's a reason for that. In that study, it said that women are less likely to apply for roles that they don't feel they're 100% qualified in, whereas their male counterparts will take a chance. And that speaks somewhat towards obviously the success of obviously that sex in the industry, and kind of circles back to my last point. So women do need to be brave. They do need to start taking chances. Obviously, society hasn't modeled us that way. They've stereotyped women into a box, and you just need to persevere and move forward regardless of whether you think you're 100% fitted for the role. Sometimes it's a growth opportunity.
True. And I think that being brave is extremely difficult. And so I would say, whenever I was looking at, different areas of where I could go professionally, I wouldn't have been able to do it without having like a proper support system. But also the company that I'm with, TBSC, the employee and the work culture in general is some place that I can actually grow and thrive in as well. So it's a combination of having that at-home support to build your self-esteem, to keep your confidence high while you're applying for these positions. But whenever you go to the interview, it's not them just interviewing you. You interviewed them and see, is this going to be a really good fit for myself? Can I excel in this? And not really talk yourself out if it does look like a good opportunity. But what do you think could be done more with getting more women in technology? What do you think companies can do to encourage women to apply or find that confidence?
Getting the company involved is really, really crucial. Like you said, the whole reason why I'm where I'm at is because of great companies like EasySAM and TBSC that are encouraging. But personally, I feel that perhaps the encouragement needs to happen a little bit earlier than that. So in schools, in media, so more positive female role models, better sponsorship, so for female studies and things like that, is really where it begins. We need to start building that enthusiasm in females from a very young age. And then, of course, like you were saying, make sure that companies offer equal opportunity. I know it's a painful topic for some people, because you do have to weigh up skills. So we want to make sure that the right person gets the right job. But we also need to make sure that there's no sort of prejudice involved in any of those decisions, and that opportunities are awarded accordingly.
Yes, I agree. Definitely looking at the skills rather than the person is important. And it's just a matter of getting more women involved in these particular fields. That is really tough spot. And I would say, throughout the course of my life and experience in media, I would say there definitely seems to be more, I would say maybe women role models and maybe science fiction movies and stuff like that, who might be engineers, etc. But I feel like, we have to go a step beyond that and really normalize it for women. It's okay to do these kinds of professions and find joy in it, actually find joy and succeed. I think it's really important to share these stories, and that's why it's really good to have you on this podcast, because you are a successful woman in tech. You made your way through EasySAM to director status, and with your story, hopefully we can impact more women to say, you know what, I think it's time for a career change.
Exactly. Aim higher.
Yes.
Yeah, reach for the stars.
Mm-hmm. Thanks again, May, for taking the time to come on to the Smarter Cloud Talk podcast. For those of you listening, if you haven't followed us online using the hashtag Smarter Cloud Talk, please do so. You can find us on Spotify and SoundCloud, or you can follow us at the Business Software Center on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Just want to thank you again, May, for joining us today, and we're going to go ahead and end the podcast here.
Thanks for having me.